Hello everyone. I hope you are all doing great today. For this week's learning session, I will be discussing an overview of gastronomy and how culture and cuisine is related to each other. So here are the discussion points for this session. First is the definition of gastronomy, and then what is food, food habits, the omnivore's paradox, self-identity and its relation to cuisine or food. Next is the symbolic use of food, followed by food and cultural identity, and I will be describing some dining etiquette around the world. So let's start. In this slide, I have included 4 definitions of gastronomy, and the first definition says that gastronomy is the study of food and culture with a particular focus on gourmet cuisine. So if this is the first time that you're going to encounter the word gourmet, I will be giving you a definition also. So gourmet, as defined by Merriam-Webster, is relating to or of being high quality, expensive, or specialty food, typically requiring elaborate and expert presentation. So when you talk about a gourmet meal or a gourmet type of cooking, usually it is really related to the use of high quality ingredients, and because the ingredients is of high quality, then most of the time the dish is going to end up expensive. So these are the types of food that you can usually order in a fancy restaurant. And the next definition is that gastronomy is the practice or art of choosing, cooking, and eating good food. So when you eat good food, when you cook good food, then you choose good food, and that is also gastronomy. That is according to Oxford Dictionary. The third one defines gastronomy as the art or science of good eating, and that is also from Merriam-Webster. So these 2 definitions are related to each other. The last definition that I will be discussing is from Savarin, and he mentioned that gastronomy is the knowledge and understanding of all that relates to man as he eats. Its purpose is to ensure conservation of men using the best food possible. So that is quite a deep definition of what gastronomy is. So when you say ensuring the conservation of men, meaning you have to make use of the best food that nourishes the body. Because when you say conservation, that is to prolong the lifespan of humans. And when you consume food, of course, you are ingesting its nutritional content, you are taking in all the vitamins and the minerals. So that is quite a good definition of what gastronomy is. Now, the definition of food in relation to gastronomy is, it is also defined in the dictionary, wherein food provides the nutrients necessary to maintain life and growth when ingested. So, in relation to the definition of Savarin, so it is also related wherein food is not just ingesting it, but choosing it correctly and choosing the right type of food that will give you the proper nutrition to maintain life and that provide the nutrients that you need in order for you to do your daily activities. So we can select the type of food that we need for nourishment, and that is one of the differences that we have with animals. Because most animals feed, when they feed, they just repeatedly consume the same types of food. Let's say when a cow eats grass, the cow does it on a regular basis. So the next day, the cow will just again eat grass. On the third day, the cow will just again eat grass. That is part of their diet. But we humans, we do not just feed, we eat. Alright, so eating in comparison with humans and animals is very different. So let's say this illustration, when a cow eats grass and he eats it on a daily basis, for us humans, although we eat plant-based foods, we eat vegetables and fruits, but we are really very different when it comes to our diet. And because of the accumulation of practices and knowledge that we have, we were able to elevate our ways of eating. Alright, over time, we have learned how to cultivate our own food. So we sow the seeds, we plant it, and we harvest it during their maturity, and then we cook it, and then we consume it. And also, we are able to breed. We are able to take care of chickens, pigs, and cows. So we cultivate them as well, and then we use them for our meat. Next would be the ingredients that we use on a daily basis, the spices that we use, the different combination of the ingredients, and then the application of heat. Okay, when we process and combine all of those things, we are able to create this wonderfully presented dishes. And that's how very much elaborate our food habits are as compared with animals. And these advances have enabled us to discover different types of food, the different trends, and the different ways on how we can harvest, and the different ways on how we can harness the nutrients that we need from the food that we consume daily. So that is the difference. We make use of different ingredients, we make use of different cooking methods, and thus it expands the number of, or the variety of edible substances that are available for us. So, and again, I will be doing a different illustration, and this is to further develop the illustration that I have mentioned a while ago, wherein when we combine different dishes, when we combine different ingredients, let's say during dinner time, we start it with a salad, or we start our dinner with a soup, and then after finishing those starters, we proceed with our main course, and then after eating the main course, we might want to have something that is sweet, probably an ice cream or a cake to complement that dinner. And then after having some dessert, you might want to have some wine or beer, and that will really enhance the experience. And the combination of these different dishes is now called the meal. So that is choosing foods to combine with other foods. And then it is followed by these table etiquette, when we have included the manners. Okay, when we have included the rules. Let's say, for example, which utensils are you going to use for a particular dish, or which dish should be served first, and what dish to be served last. So when we combine rules with eating, it now becomes our manners. And for the third type, and I consider this as the height of eating, it is when we make use of our senses, all of our senses, our sense of sight, our sense of smell, our sense of taste, our sense of hearing, and our tactile senses. When we make use of all of those senses and we relate it to food, that is when we create experiences or the dining experiences. So when you visit a restaurant to have a very special dinner, during your entrance you are greeted by the staff and they are smiling and they are greeting you warmly. That includes your senses. And then when you see the ambience and how beautiful the setup is, you make use of the sense of sight. Then when you hear the music and it's very harmonious with the kind of ambience there is in the restaurant, you use your sense of hearing. And then when you smell the food coming, and then it is now presented to your table and you see how visually attractive it is, you use your sense of smell and your sense of sight. So using all of these senses and related to eating, we create memorable dining experiences. Alright? Now, the food that we eat also forms our habits. And our food habits usually start when we are young. Let's say when we share our meals with our family. Usually as a kid, we do not have a decision on what to serve during dinner or lunch. Usually it's our parents or our mom who cooks the dinner or the lunch for us, and we have no decision as to what meals to prepare or as to what meals to cook. So usually when we go sit at the table, we just consume whatever it is in the table. So we have no decision as to what foods we are going to eat, which is why some kids, they are really made to eat vegetables by their parents, because their parents know that eating vegetables can make young kids grow healthier and stronger. And probably that is also the reason why some kids don't really want to consume vegetables, because if they don't want something and you push them to eat it, they develop a certain dislike about a certain food. But when you grow up, right? When you grow up and you expose yourself in different environments and you meet different types of people, you slowly try to explore the choices of food that you would want to try. And when you travel to different places, you usually try to also explore the different cuisine. You explore your taste buds and you try out any food that you see on the street, you see on the restaurant. So that's how we develop and we enhance our food habits as we grow older.